Have you ever paused to ponder the silence where miracles once roared? Where are the healings that mended bodies and spirits, the transformations that turned the ordinary into the extraordinary, the divine interventions that used to flow freely, like rivers, through the hands of those who believed? It feels as though these powerful currents have dried up, leaving behind a parched landscape in our modern world. What if I were to tell you that before Jesus ever performed a single miracle, before he breathed life back into the dead, restored sight to the blind, or calmed the raging storms, he uttered a specific prayer, a sacred formula so potent that it was eventually hidden from you, systematically erased from teachings, and buried deep beneath centuries of rigid institutional doctrine? Type, "I am ready," in the comments if you feel that spark of curiosity ignite within you, if you yearn to uncover what has been deliberately kept from your understanding, and if you feel an ancient stirring within your soul right now, that quiet whisper suggesting you were destined to encounter this very video at this precise moment in your life, then be sure to hit that like button. Because the revelations that await you will shatter the foundations of everything you thought you knew about prayer, the source of true power, and your own inherent divine potential. The suppression of this prayer wasn't accidental. It was deliberately silenced because it holds immense power. It transfers power from institutions to individuals, revealing a truth that many sought to bury, that you are not separate from the divine source. You are a vessel, a conduit through which miracles can flow as naturally as breath itself, once you unlock the secret. In the coming moments, you will discover the precise words Jesus spoke before turning water into wine, before miraculously multiplying the loaves and fishes to feed the multitudes, before commanding Lazarus to rise and walk from his tomb. But more profoundly, you will understand why these words resonate with the very frequency of creation itself, why they hold the key to unlocking the same miraculous power that resides within you, and why this knowledge has been deliberately concealed from the masses for over 2,000 years. This isn't merely a history lesson, nor is it just a theological discussion. This is the forbidden key to the kingdom, hidden in plain sight, patiently waiting for those with eyes to see and ears to truly hear. The question that echoes now is, are you truly ready to remember what your soul has always known? To truly grasp what has been taken from us, we must embark on a journey back in time, before the councils, before the Council of Nicaea in 325 AD, before Constantine inextricably linked the Church and the Empire, before the gatekeepers decided which teachings would endure and which would be forever buried in the sands of time. The earliest followers of Jesus, those who walked alongside him, who witnessed his miracles firsthand, practiced a form of prayer that was radically different from what most people experience today. In the ancient Aramaic language that Jesus spoke, a language where every single word carried a vibrational frequency, where sound and meaning were inseparable and intertwined, prayer wasn't a form of begging. It wasn't about asking an external deity for favors, like a humble servant pleading before a distant and indifferent king. It was something far more potent, far more dangerous to those who would later seek to control the masses through the construction of a rigid religious hierarchy. It was a profound declaration of unity with the divine source, a recognition of the power that was already present, already flowing through the very being of the one who prays. The Gnostic texts, unearthed in Nag Hammadi in 1945 and kept veiled in secrecy for decades, reveal that Jesus taught his closest disciples a profound mystery. The kingdom of God is within you. Not will be, not might be if you are good enough, but present tense, already here, already activated. The Gospel of Thomas, deliberately excluded from the canonical Bible, records Jesus saying, "If you bring forth what is within you, what you have will save you. If you do not bring forth what is within you, what you do not have will destroy you." This wasn't mere poetry. This was direct instruction. This was the technical manual for miracle working that the institutional church found too threatening to preserve, because it implied that every single human being carried the same divine spark, the same creative power that Jesus so effortlessly demonstrated. It meant no mediator was necessary, no priest to intercede on your behalf, no payment required for divine favor, and no intricate hierarchy to maintain control. In the Hebrew mystical tradition of Kabbalah, which Jesus, as a learned rabbi, would have been deeply familiar with, there exists the concept of kavanah, the intention and consciousness that resides behind prayer, that transforms mere words into potent acts of creation. The ancient Kabbalists understood that the divine name itself, the Tetragrammaton YHWH, represents the eternal present tense. I am that I am. Not I was, not I will be, but I am, the eternal now, where all power resides and from which all creation springs forth. Before performing every single miracle, Jesus entered this state of I am consciousness. He didn't implore God to heal someone, as if God were separate and the power resided elsewhere. Instead, he gave thanks, acting as if the miracle had already occurred. Because in the realm of I am, in the quantum field of infinite possibility, it already had. He spoke from the end, from the place of completion, collapsing the wave of potential into the solid particle of manifestation through the vibrational frequency of gratitude and unwavering, absolute knowing. The Essenes, the mystical Jewish sect to which many scholars believe Jesus was connected, practiced a form of prayer they called feeling prayer. Ancient Essene texts describe this as invoking the feeling of the wish fulfilled, surrounding yourself with the emotions of having already received what you desire. They grasped something that quantum physics would only confirm 2,000 years later, that the observer directly affects the observed, that consciousness shapes reality, and that feeling is the language that speaks directly to the field of all possibilities. But when the Roman Empire adopted Christianity as its official state religion, a significant shift occurred. The teachings had to be standardized, controlled, and carefully crafted to support the existing hierarchy of power. Prayers became petitions, and humans were redefined as sinners, inherently separate from God and in constant need of intermediaries. The direct connection, the I am power that Jesus not only demonstrated but explicitly taught, became branded as heresy. Throughout the centuries, mystics who rediscovered these profound truths, such as Meister Eckhart, Hildegard of Bingen, and Giordano Bruno, were silenced, exiled, or even burned at the stake for daring to challenge the established order. The prayer that Jesus employed wasn't written down in the canonical Gospels as a formula to be repeated mechanically, because it wasn't solely about the words themselves. It was about the consciousness, the frequency, and the state of being from which those words emanated. It was about remembering who you truly are, not a beggar kneeling before a distant throne, but a divine being temporarily inhabiting a human form, equipped with the very same creative power that spoke the universe into existence. So what exactly was this prayer? What were the precise words that Jesus uttered before commanding the storm to be still, before telling the paralyzed man to rise and walk, before calling Lazarus forth from the clutches of death itself? To fully understand this, we must look beyond the often limited English translations, even beyond the Greek manuscripts, and delve into the very Aramaic heart of what was actually said, and more importantly, into the profound consciousness from which it emerged. In the Gospel of John, chapter 11, before Jesus raises Lazarus from the dead, we find the only recorded instance where the veil is momentarily lifted and we are permitted to hear the prayer Jesus spoke before performing a miracle. He stands before the tomb, and he speaks these words: "Father, I thank you that you have heard me. I knew that you always hear me, but I said this for the benefit of the people standing here, that they may believe that you sent me." Read those words again, slowly, and allow them to penetrate your being. I thank you that you have heard me, past tense. Before he spoke the command, before Lazarus emerged from the tomb, before the miracle even manifested in the physical realm, Jesus was already giving thanks for its complete realization. He wasn't asking, hoping, or begging God to please. If it was his will, perhaps consider helping him out. He was acknowledging what already existed in the realm of divine potential, in the field of infinite possibility. This is the secret they stopped teaching. This is the forbidden key. Prayer is not a humble petition. It is a powerful declaration. It is not about desperately asking for something you don't currently have. It is about giving heartfelt thanks for what already is in the invisible realm, thereby calling it forth into visible manifestation. But there is something even deeper hidden within the Aramaic language itself. When Jesus said, Father, he used the word Abun, a term that doesn't simply mean a patriarchal figure sitting on a distant throne. In Aramaic, Abun refers to the birther, the source, the cosmic womb of creation, the very field of infinite potential from which all things emerge. It's the unified field that quantum physicists now tell us underlies all of reality, the zero-point field where matter and energy dance in a state of eternal possibility. When Jesus said, "I thank you that you have heard me," he was speaking from a state of absolute unity with this source. The Aramaic structure reveals something the English translation subtly conceals. He wasn't speaking to God as someone separate. He was speaking from the God consciousness within himself. The subject and object collapsed into one. The prayer and the one praying became a single, unified act of creation. Think of it like this. Imagine you are standing before a vast ocean. Most people pray as if they are standing on the shore, shouting across the water to someone on the distant side, hoping their voice carries far enough to be heard. But Jesus understood that he wasn't standing at the edge of the ocean. He was the ocean, temporarily experiencing itself as a wave. When the wave recognizes its true nature as the ocean, it doesn't need to ask the ocean for permission to rise or fall. It simply moves with the natural power that it inherently is. This is precisely why Jesus consistently said things that confused and even angered the religious authorities of his time. I and the Father are one. Before Abraham was, I am. The works that I do, you shall do also, and greater works than these shall you do. He wasn't claiming to be the only Son of God. He was claiming that everyone is a son or daughter of the divine source, that everyone carries the same creative power, the same inherent ability to speak reality into existence from the consciousness of unity. The prayer before every miracle had three essential components, three powerful frequencies that must be present simultaneously. First, there was unity consciousness, the absolute, unwavering knowing that there is no true separation between the one praying and the source of all creation. Not mere belief, not hope, not faith in something outside of yourself, but the direct experiential knowing of your true nature as an individualized expression of the infinite. Second, there was present tense gratitude. Thanksgiving for the miracle as already accomplished, already done, already fully manifested in the invisible realm. This is the vibrational frequency that quantum physicists now understand as the observer effect, where the very act of observing, of placing your consciousness in the reality of the wish fulfilled, collapses the wave function of potential into the solid particle of manifestation. Third, there was feeling, the full body experience of having already received, of the miracle already being done. Not just the mental acknowledgement of words, but the tangible physiological state, the distinct electromagnetic signature that your heart emits when you are truly living in the reality of completion. Your heart generates an electromagnetic field 5,000 times more powerful than your brain. And this field communicates directly with what the ancients called the field of all possibilities, and what scientists now refer to as the quantum field. Jesus understood something that modern mystics and quantum physicists are only now rediscovering, that the universe doesn't respond primarily to your words or even to your thoughts. It responds to the frequency you are broadcasting, the signal your entire being is sending out. When you pray from a place of lack, from need, from the consciousness of not having, you are sending out the signal of lack, and the universe, being a perfect mirror, reflects that lack right back to you. But when Jesus prayed, he did something that defied the logical mind, something that seemed utterly impossible to those trapped in linear cause and effect thinking. He prayed from the END. He placed his consciousness not in the present moment of the problem, not in the current reality of sickness, death, or lack, but in the future moment of the solution already accomplished. And then he brought that future feeling powerfully into the present moment through the potent alchemy of gratitude. This is where most people stumble. They say, "How can I give thanks for something I don't even have? Isn't that being dishonest? Isn't that a form of self-deception?" But they are asking the wrong question because they are still operating from the limited paradigm of Newtonian physics, where reality is viewed as fixed, solid, and already predetermined. Jesus operated from what we now understand as quantum reality, where the future is not fixed but fluid, where multiple potential timelines exist simultaneously, and where your consciousness, specifically the electromagnetic frequency of your heart and mind in coherent alignment, selects which timeline collapses into your experienced reality. In the ancient mystical text called the Prayer of Joseph, which was referenced by early church fathers but later excluded from the canon, there is a passage that reveals this profound truth explicitly. I have descended to dwell among the sons of men, and I have spoken with them in their language, but I come from above the heavens. I am a ruling spirit who has been given dominion over those who are born before me. This wasn't Jesus speaking. This was the teaching that every human soul descends from the realm of pure potential, from the field of infinite possibility, and takes on temporary form in the material world while retaining the ability to access that higher realm through the power of consciousness. The Hermetic principle, as above, so below, as within, so without, encodes this same truth. The realm above, the invisible field of quantum potential, is the template for the realm below, the physical manifestation. What exists within your consciousness, within your feeling state, within the reality you hold as true in your heart, manifests without as your experienced physical reality. Jesus didn't violate this law, he mastered it. He operated it with such precision that what appeared to be miracles were simply the natural result of perfect alignment between inner consciousness and outer manifestation. Consider the miracle of the loaves and fishes. 5,000 people, hungry and desperate, with only 5 loaves of bread and 2 small fish. The disciples saw lack. They saw impossible mathematics. They saw a problem with no apparent solution. But Jesus, what did he do? He took the 5 loaves and 2 fish, and before distributing them, before the multiplication occurred in the visible realm, he looked up to heaven and gave thanks. Again, past tense, gratitude before manifestation. Thanksgiving for the miracle already accomplished in the invisible realm. What happened in that pivotal moment? He shifted his consciousness from the frequency of not enough to the frequency of more than enough. He moved from the vibration of scarcity to the vibration of abundance. And here is the crucial understanding. Abundance and scarcity are not mere amounts. They are frequencies. They are states of consciousness. You can possess $1 million and still vibrate at the frequency of scarcity, perpetually afraid it's not enough and constantly grasping for more. Or you can have very little and vibrate at the frequency of abundance, always grateful, always recognizing the infinite supply available in the invisible realm. The ancient Kabbalists taught that there are 2 primary worlds: the world of Asaya, physical manifestation, and the world of Atziluth, divine emanation. Between these 2 worlds lie the intermediate realms of Yetzirah, formation, and Bria, creation. The prayer Jesus used operated not in Asaya, not in the physical world where the problem stubbornly existed, but in Bria, in the realm of pure creation, where thought becomes thing and where consciousness shapes energy into form. When you pray in Asaya, you are essentially praying from the problem. God, I'm sick. Please heal me. The very structure of that prayer reinforces and broadcasts the frequency of sickness. You're actively observing the sickness, focusing intently on it, feeling its discomfort, and therefore, according to the observer effect in quantum mechanics, you are collapsing the wave function into more sickness. But when you pray from Bria, from the realm of creation, you are praying from the solution. Thank you that I am whole, that I am healed, that vitality flows freely through every cell of my body. You're not denying the current physical reality. You are simply refusing to give it your power of observation and feeling. You are withdrawing your consciousness from the problem and investing it fully in the solution, thereby starving the problem of the very energy it needs to persist and feeding the solution with the creative power of your focused attention and profound gratitude. This is why Jesus could say to the paralyzed man, "Your sins are forgiven. Rise and walk." The religious leaders were scandalized. What did forgiveness of sins have to do with physical healing? Everything. Because in Aramaic mysticism, sin doesn't mean moral failure. It means to miss the mark, to be out of alignment with your true nature as a divine being. The paralysis wasn't merely physical. It was spiritual, emotional, and mental. It was the manifestation in Asaya of a consciousness that had forgotten its true nature, that had identified with limitation, separation, and powerlessness. When Jesus said, "Your sins are forgiven," he was doing something far more radical than granting moral pardon. He was declaring the man's restoration to his true nature, his realignment with the divine source. He was calling forth the remembrance of who the man truly was beneath the layers of trauma, limitation, and false identity. And from that restored consciousness, that remembrance of divine nature, the physical healing was not a supernatural intervention. It was the natural, inevitable result. The Gospel of Philip, Another Gnostic text excluded from the canon states, "Light and darkness, life and death, right and left, are brothers of one another. They are inseparable. Because of this, neither are the good good nor the evil evil, nor is life life, nor death death. For this reason, each one will dissolve into its original nature. But those who are exalted above the world are indissoluble, eternal." This passage reveals a crucial secret. Miracles don't happen by overcoming physical laws. They happen by transcending the level of consciousness where those limitations exist. Jesus operated from the consciousness exalted above the world, the realm where opposites dissolve, where sickness and health are both recognized as temporary states within an eternal, unchanging divine nature. From that elevated consciousness, he simply called forth the preferred state through the vibrational frequency of gratitude and unwavering knowing. Now comes the pivotal moment where ancient wisdom meets your everyday life, where the forbidden teaching transforms into a living practice, where you take the same power Jesus demonstrated and activate it powerfully within your own experience. This isn't just abstract theory anymore. This isn't merely historical context. This is the technical manual for miracle working that has been waiting patiently for you to be ready to truly receive it. The first step is to consciously shift from petition to declaration, from constantly asking to profoundly thanking. Starting today, every time you pray, whether for healing, abundance, guidance, or any other heartfelt desire, you must restructure the entire consciousness from which you pray. Never again approach prayer as a beggar humbly approaching a king. Approach it as Jesus did, as a divine being temporarily wearing human form, speaking from the source, and not merely to the source. Here is the practical formula. First, clearly identify what you deeply desire. Healing, financial breakthrough, a restored relationship, creative inspiration, whatever it may be. Now, gently close your eyes and deliberately move your awareness out of the present circumstances where the problem appears to exist. Don't deny that it is there, but simply withdraw your powerful observation from it. Take several deep breaths, breathing deeply in through your nose and slowly out through your mouth. With each exhale, consciously release any tension you may be holding. With each inhale, draw yourself deeper into the present moment, into the field of infinite possibility that exists right here, right now, beneath the surface noise of the material world. Now, speak these words or words like them, in your own authentic voice. Abun, divine source, infinite field of all possibility. I thank you that my healing is already accomplished. I thank you that, in the invisible realm, in the quantum field where all potential exists, this miracle is already done. I give thanks not for what will be, but for what already is. Feel the words deeply. This is absolutely crucial. Don't just say them mentally. Truly feel them in your chest, in your heart, in your belly. Generate the actual physiological sensation of gratitude, the warmth, the expansion, the deep sense of relief and joy that comes when something truly wonderful has already happened. Your body doesn't know the difference between something that has happened in physical reality and something you are experiencing vividly in your imagination with full sensory engagement. Sending sensory details to your nervous system, to your electromagnetic field, and to the quantum field that's reading your energetic signature. It's all equally real. Immerse yourself in this feeling for at least 3 to 5 minutes. This isn't time wasted. It's the most powerful action you can undertake. During these precious minutes of feeling prayer, you're broadcasting a completely different frequency, a new signal that supersedes the ones you've been habitually sending out into the universe. You're collapsing the wave function of infinite potential, solidifying it into a new, tangible timeline. You're drawing that desired future reality into the present moment, empowered by the magnetic force of coherent heart-brain alignment. Make this practice a cornerstone of your daily life, twice a day. Once in the morning, before the day's inevitable chaos drags you into reactive consciousness, and again at night, just before sleep. As your brain naturally transitions into the theta state, a receptive gateway where the subconscious mind becomes most pliable to reprogramming, consistency becomes paramount, outweighing sheer intensity. A mere 5 minutes of genuine, heartfelt prayer, practiced consistently twice a day for 30 days, will more powerfully rewire your entire electromagnetic signature than 5 hours of desperate pleading. offered sporadically only once a month. But here's where most individuals stumble, where the practice often unravels: the seeming gap between the prayer and its physical manifestation. You diligently perform the feeling prayer. You generate genuine gratitude. You align yourself with the miracle as if it were already a tangible reality. And then, you open your eyes, and the physical circumstances remain stubbornly unchanged. The bank account still reflects a disheartening lack. The body still manifests unwelcome symptoms. The relationship still feels distant and strained. Doubt then creeps in, insidiously, like a thief in the night, stealing the precious seed you've just planted before it even has a chance to germinate and take root. This is the test. This is where faith, not blind belief but the very substance of things hoped for, the tangible evidence of things unseen, becomes your unwavering anchor. Jesus spoke eloquently about this. Whatever you ask for in prayer, believe that you have already received it, and it will be yours. Present perfect tense, have received asterisk, already done. Asterisk, the believing isn't merely hoping that it will happen. It's knowing, with unshakable certainty, that it has already happened in the realm of causation. You are simply patiently awaiting its manifestation, its precipitation into the realm of effect. During this perceived gap, you must diligently practice what mystics call living from the end. This means you consciously choose to move through your day not as someone anxiously awaiting a miracle, but as someone for whom the miracle has already unequivocally occurred. How would you feel if the healing were already complete, absolute, and irreversible? Feel that feeling now. How would you walk? How would you talk? How would you make pivotal decisions if abundance had already irrevocably arrived in your life? Walk, talk, and decide asterisk from that place. Now, this isn't mere pretense. It's prophetic living, consciously embodying the future reality in the present moment, thereby powerfully magnetizing it into tangible manifestation. When doubt inevitably arises, and it will, resist the urge to fight it head-on. Directly fighting doubt only serves to amplify its energy. Instead, gently and firmly redirect your focus. Simply return to the core practice. Return to the rhythm of your breath. Return to the profound feeling of gratitude for the miracle already accomplished. Each time doubt surfaces and you consciously choose to return to faith, you are actively strengthening the neural pathways of trust and diminishing the neural pathways of fear and separation within your brain. Here's an advanced technique that Jesus himself utilized, one you can readily apply in your own life immediately. Speak directly to the circumstance, just as he spoke to the fig tree, to the raging storm, to the tormenting demons. Look directly at the perceived lack in your bank account and boldly declare, "I see you, but you are not the ultimate truth of who I am. The truth is divine abundance, ceaselessly flowing through me right now. Thank you, Source, for the boundless wealth that is already mine." Look at the unwelcome diagnosis, the persistent symptom, the nagging pain, and proclaim, "I acknowledge you, but you do not possess authority over my divine nature. Perfect health is already my inherent reality. Thank you for the complete and utter healing already accomplished." This is not denial. This is dominion. This is consciously exercising the inherent authority that Jesus himself said you possess. "I have given you authority to trample on snakes and scorpions, and to overcome all the power of the enemy." The enemy isn't some external, malevolent devil. It's the pervasive consciousness of separation, of limiting beliefs, of perceived powerlessness. And you overcome it not through direct confrontation, but by consciously elevating your own consciousness to a higher, more refined octave, a vibrational frequency where such negativity simply cannot exist. Finally, diligently watch for the signs. The universe will invariably begin sending you subtle yet unmistakable evidence that your prayer has been heard and that the timeline is indeed shifting in your favor. These initial signs might be subtle: an unexpected check arriving in the mail, a seemingly chance encounter with a helpful individual, a sudden, illuminating insight that clarifies a previously perplexing situation, a profound feeling of peace replacing persistent anxiety. Do not dismiss these as mere coincidence. Recognize them as the leading edge of your desired manifestation, as irrefutable proof that the invisible miracle is actively beginning to make itself visibly known in your life. Cultivating gratitude for even these seemingly small signs will dramatically accelerate the arrival of the larger, more significant manifestation you're seeking. You now hold within your conscious awareness what has been deliberately hidden, what has been systematically removed from conventional religious teachings, what institutional gatekeepers deem too dangerous for the masses to possess. The prayer that Jesus consistently used before every miracle wasn't a secret because it was inherently complex. It was a secret precisely because it was profoundly simple, unbelievably powerful, and radically democratizing in its implications. It revealed the profound truth that you don't require an intermediary, a priest or a guru, to access the divine. You don't need anyone's permission. You don't need to somehow earn your way into divine favor. You already are the divine, exquisitely expressed in human form. And the boundless creative power of the universe already flows effortlessly through you, waiting only for you to remember your inherent divinity, to consciously align with your true nature, and to speak authoritatively from the conscious awareness of I am. This is not blasphemy. This is your birthright. This is precisely what Jesus meant when he proclaimed, "Is it not written in your law? I have said you are gods?" He was quoting Psalm 82. Reminding those who had tragically forgotten their true nature that they were never meant to crawl as beggars before some distant, unapproachable deity. They were destined to stand tall as conscious co-creators, as beloved children who had inherited the full creative capacity of their divine parent. Every time you pray from this day forward, you are presented with a conscious choice. Will you continue to pray as you were traditionally taught by systems that inherently benefit from perpetuating your sense of powerlessness and dependency? Or will you choose to pray as Jesus actually prayed, from a place of profound unity with Source, infused with heartfelt gratitude, fully immersed in the feeling of the wish already irrevocably fulfilled? One way, the former, keeps you perpetually dependent, passively waiting, endlessly hoping that someday, if you're deemed good enough, if you beg convincingly enough, you might finally receive what you so desperately need. The other way, the latter, activates the kingdom of heaven that already resides deep within you, calls forth the miracles that already exist in the field of infinite potential, and vividly demonstrates that you were never, ever separate from the divine source. You were always the perfect vessel through which its boundless blessings flow. The storms in your life, the seemingly insurmountable financial chaos, the debilitating health crisis, the agonizing relationship breakdown, the crushing existential despair. They're all patiently waiting for you to stand up in the boat of your life and speak with unwavering authority. Peace, be still. Not as a mere hope, not as a desperate plea, but as a confident declaration from one who knows with unshakable certainty that the power to calm the storm resides not in some distant, unreachable heaven, but in the divine consciousness that is already actively awakening within you right now, in this very moment. So, I leave you with this empowering instruction. Go into your secret place, wherever that may be. Close the door, just as Jesus instructed, and pray to the Father who is in secret, the divine source that exists in the invisible realm of pure potential. Give heartfelt thanks for what already is, even if you cannot yet see it with your physical eyes. Feel it with every fiber of your being. And then, watch with joyful anticipation as the physical world meticulously rearranges itself to perfectly match the elevated frequency you're consciously broadcasting. The miracle isn't coming to you. It's coming through you because you are the miracle, patiently waiting to fully remember itself. If this teaching has awakened something ancient and profound within your soul, if you feel the undeniable truth of it resonating in places deeper than logic can reach, type "I am" in the comments below. Let that powerful declaration be your first conscious act of deliberate co-creation. And generously share this video with someone who is genuinely ready to remember their own divine nature, someone who has been tirelessly praying for permission when they already possess inherent dominion. The prayer that Jesus consistently used before every miracle is now freely and unequivocally yours. The only question remaining is, what will you create with it?